What's up, YouTube? How y'all doing? Hope y'all having a good day today. So, this is going to be my second vlog video for the Sarms stack in which I am taking. Now, before I get into this, a little disclaimer. Sarms are for research use only. They are not meant for human consumption. If you do research with it, you generally would do this on lab rats. However, to be straight up honest, I am not doing this on lab rats. I am the lab rat, essentially. And if you want to know what SARMs I'm taking, go back to my first vlog video in which I talk about the SARMs that I'm jumping on and taking. Now, getting into it. So, this is the end of week 3 of my SARMs stack. I'm going to be doing a total of 12 weeks with, once I complete that, with 6-week PCT. And then within that PCT, I'm going to be running HGH peptides during my PCT to help me maintain whatever I gain on this SARM stack. So, the initial 4 weeks of the SARM stack in which I'm doing, it's all about bulking up. I started off at 238 pounds with 17.5-inch arms, 47-inch chest, and 27-inch legs. I have more measurements, but it's covered in the first video. Go back to the first video to get the additional measurements. Now, that was 3 weeks ago. And technically I did that video a week after I started the SARM cycle. But all the measurements and the weigh-in was from the very beginning of the SARM cycle. So I started at 238. 3 weeks later, I am now 250. Now, not all this is muscle weight. Probably, if I'm being honest, I feel like the majority of it's probably body fat because I've gained about 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches on my waistline. But I do know I've gained muscle on this. Not a whole lot on the strength gain side. The other day I tested out just to see where I was at on my strength, and it's pretty much the same. Did 315 for as many reps as I can get. My personal PR, and this is bench press, by the way. My personal PR is 315 for 9 reps. 365 for 3 reps, which I haven't tried to rep out on 365 because I don't want to stress out my tendons and connective tissues that much. And just 3 days ago, I did 315 for 8. So generally, I'm pretty much the same as far as my strength. But my submax, or I guess you could say more of like my endurance, my muscles capable of endurance has went up. So before, let's say I wanted to drop down to 225 and do some bodybuilding bench press, get more reps in, right? More time under tension. I would typically do 225 for 5 sets of 10. And usually on my last set, I would go until absolute failure, until like I fail on the rep and then I have to set it on the racks. I usually do this in a squat rack for safety purposes. So, and usually on my last set, on a good day, I get like 13 reps. On a bad day, 11 or 12. So, but now we're doing 225 for 5 sets of 12 with a new PR. I did 2 on my very last set. Again, we're doing 5 sets of flat bench. On my very last set, I did 16 reps. Now, granted, all the rest time and whatnot is the same as I did when I was doing 225 for sets of 10, is the same now. So, did 16. Generally, I'll get that last set for 13 or 14 reps, but I hit 16 reps, and this was about a week ago. So, this is about 2 weeks into the SARM cycle. So, we're 3 weeks in, and tonight I did 225 for 4 sets of 12, with my last set being 14 reps. So, my endurance has went up, I would say significantly. Same thing with squat. Now, squat if I did 315, I would do 315 for sets of 10, right? Now, I'm doing 315 for sets of 12, with my failure set getting in about 15 reps, which is a pretty equivalent to 225 on bench. This would be what my squatting was. Now, I do what is called a low bar squat, and I don't do high bar. I do low bar because I feel like, one, my form is a lot better, and it's easier, at least to me, it feels easier on my tendons and my knees, and I feel like the weight is pretty even split between hips and knees. So, but that's just me personally. and how I feel my body anatomy is. Everyone's a little bit different. We can get a whole science of like the femur, and when the femur connects to the hip joint, forget that socket joint, basically the neck where that goes into the femur. It's different. We can get on into that, but that'll be for another video for another day. But yeah, 315 for sets of 12. So my arms went from 17.5 inches to 18.25. So I put on 3/4 inch. But again, I feel like my body fat percentage too has went up a few percent. I can still see the squares of my abdominals, but they're very faded. Before I was pretty close to washboard abs. Now they're, starting to get a little faded. I can still see them, but they're getting a little faded. Like I said, that was when at the very beginning of the Sarms. That first video I put out, I had already been on Sarms for a week, and I'd already been eating like crazy, bulking up like crazy. I got a little late start on the video, but time and work and life gets in the way. So, but anyhow, so we're at the end of week 3. We weigh 250, put on 12 pounds. If I had to guess, probably 3 to 4 pounds of it is lean body mass. If I had to guess, me personally, from what I've noticed, maximum strength hasn't really gone up, but sub maxes have. And we're only on week 3. We have 9 more weeks to go, and we're going to be stepping it up. If you want to see what Sarms I'm doing, just refer back to my first video. Now, we also get into a little bit of PCT, which is, I would say, is more important than your actual Sarms and or anabolic steroid stack. And also, too, you got to have a good base, a testosterone base of some sort, because you don't want to feel suppressed. Because Sarms, especially if you're doing heavy Sarms like I'm doing, the strong ones, it will suppress your testosterone almost to nothing. So without a testosterone base, you're going to feel run down, and you won't be able to get into the gym to train and do what the whole point of doing Sarms is for, adding muscle or endurance or whatever. Because you can use Sarms for several different things. MMA fighters usually use RAD 140 or RAD 150 because it increases aggression and strength, but not necessarily size. So, but again, you can look up all these Sarms for yourself to see if you wanted to do this, or if you want your lab rat to do this. You can look up the various Sarms. But PCT, so I have for my PCT triptorelin, which I'm going to do 100 microgram shot. You do not, and I repeat, you do not want to do any more than 100 micrograms of triptorelin, because 100 micrograms is like that perfect little sweet spot. Any more than that, and you can actually get the opposite effect where you'll actually be more suppressed. Now, little info on triptorelin. What it does, it stimulates the HPTA, the hypothalamus pituitary testicular axis, which is the main thing that shuts down if you're doing heavy Sarms and or testosterone or steroid abuse, essentially. You can shut down your HPTA, and that's the thing that you hear a lot of these bodybuilders or people who go on to these sorts of anabolic stacks, if you will, that they end up completely ruining, quote unquote, ruining their body's ability to produce testosterone. Well, it's all about that HPTA. If you shut it down, you have to do a proper PCT to get it up and running again. And if you don't, you can either be severely suppressed on testosterone for many months, even a year, or permanently you could be permanently suppressed. So again, do your homework, do your research when doing things like this, if you're going to do it. I'm not advising for or against doing this. I'm just merely putting the information out there. So back to what I was saying. No more than 100 micrograms of one shot of triptorelin. And then I'm going to be doing my typical Sarms. I'm going to be doing enclomiphene and tamoxifen. 2 enclomiphene tablets, 12.5 milligrams a tablet for 2. Which total of 25 milligrams of enclomiphene, and 4 tamoxifen tablets. I do believe the tamoxifen tablets are 20 milligrams a piece. It'll be 80 milligrams for 2 weeks. And we will slowly step it down from there. I've also got a peptide, which off the research and articles I've read about, kisapepsitin 10. I might have butchered the name a little bit, but forgive me, but it's kind of hard to say. But it's a peptide that has been shown to will actually stimulate follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone, which these are the two hormones that are essentially precursors to testosterone. So you need those. But in order for this peptide to work, your HPTA needs to be somewhat active. So hence why I'm going to be using the triptorelin. So that way the HPTA is already active, and then I'll jump onto the kisspepsin 10 peptide. Because without an active HPTA, it literally will do nothing for you. On top of that, so, with your typical other PCT products, tamoxifen and clomiphene, I have it all set up and written down of how I'm going to be tapering off, because you want to start off strong and you want to taper off, because the whole point of this is to get your HPTA back online and producing your own testosterone while you're slowly tapering off, so that way you can go back to being quote unquote natural again, right? That's where a lot of people mess up when they're doing anabolics of any kind. So, and during the whole time while I'm taking Sarms, I'm also going to be taking HCG and HMG, which these essentially help to keep your HPTA active the whole time, somewhat active, or as one YouTuber, Russo Lifts, what he likes to say is basically keep the lights on in your testicles. So you need to make sure that you're on something the whole time when you're on, because that's another mistake people make is they don't take, at minimum you need to be taking about, well, I'm not going to tell you the dosage because everyone's a little bit different and you need to do your own homework, but at minimum you need to be taking HCG while you're on some sort of cycle. I'm doing HCG and HMG. Me personally, what I'm doing, because I'm doing a pretty heavy duty Sarms cycle, I'm doing 250 units a week of HCG, and I'm doing 75 units a week of HMG. I don't take them both at the same time. I usually take my HCG, then like 2-3 days later, HMG, and so on and so forth. To equivalent to once a week. All right. And then once I complete my Sarms cycle, I'm done with the HCG and HMG, and I'm switching over to the triptorelin, to the Sarms and the enclomiphene and tamoxifen and peptides and all this other stuff too, for my PCT to get myself back online. So, so I've gone over what my first 3 weeks were like as far as gains go. Side effects. I never really get side effects from Sarms before, because I've done Rad 140 and Ostarine and MK677, which MK677 is not a SARM. It's an HGH sericalog, which basically stimulates your pituitary to produce more HGH. But I'm starting to experience physical side effects, and I do believe it's from the, I know it's from the Ligandrol, because again, I didn't get these with Rad 140 or Ostarine. I'm noticing, which I've read about and I was prepared for it mentally, muscle pumps. So it's kind of crazy the amount of pump, so to speak, you get from, not necessarily from lifting weights, from just everyday stuff. I'm noticing, like, okay, for example, I was on the phone with a friend and I had my arm up like this and just talking to a friend. And for like 10 minutes, I had my arm set like this. And when I went to lay the phone down, this muscle right here, this forearm muscle, was pumped up from just holding the phone for 10 minutes, My arm didn't feel weak or anything like that. It just felt pumped up. And I was just like, twisting my hand back and was like, damn, I got a tiny little pump from that. What the fuck? And the low back pumps. So my squatting, my hardest thing with squatting is the fact that my lower back muscles get so pumped up and filled with blood that it hurts. It hurts to squat. My legs don't hurt, it's my lower back, And I got proper form and everything, but the muscular pump from the Ligandrol gets a little bit too much on the low back, but I power through it. But when I got done with my squats, I had to lay on my stomach on a bench for probably a good 10 minutes to allow the pump to calm down, because it was so pumped up. I was like, kind of freaking hurt. So, and also too, I'm noticing too, I'm guessing it's from the pumps that my muscles feel a little bit more tense now from the Ligandrol. So that's the first time I've ever experienced like physically bad side effects from it. Well, that and Sarms do mess with my sleep a little bit more, but not terribly. I'm probably losing maybe on average 30 minutes a night of sleep, because it takes me a little bit longer to fall asleep. And or if I fall asleep right away, I'll wake up a little bit, like a couple times. So, but still worth it for sure. But yeah, so that's the negative side effects I experienced so far. I don't really feel suppressed because, again, I'm taking the HCG and HMG, and I'm taking tablets, high-tech pharmaceuticals, Superdrol, which the most important ingredients are the andro-1 and andro-4, which when you take those, hits the liver converts into testosterone. And I'm taking Gear Cream, which this is my first time taking the Gear Cream. I've taken the Superdrol. It's not the actual steroid Superdrol. They just call it Superdrol because it's a catchy name, and it's technically a pro-hormone, a legitimate pro-hormone. But anyhow, taking the quote-unquote Gear Cream that supposedly will jack your testosterone levels through the roof if you do 2 full pumps. And I'm not. I just started that one like 2 days ago, and I'm just doing 1 pump a day because I'm already taking the tablets. I don't feel suppressed. Still feel energized. Still feel ready to go at the gym. Still have my daily attention, if you get what I'm getting at, in the mornings when I wake up. Still, flag is still raising just fine. So, no problems there. So, yeah, so that's basically my first 3 weeks in a nutshell. Going good so far. And hope to see you for the next one. Thank you for watching. Peace.